This is Van Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with Marat. And he's you have a business model that we're going to talk about behind the modern utopia arc. And I want to welcome you to the Fan Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Keith. Phantom, happy to be here. Excited to be here and spend this hour with you.
Well, we like to talk to people about their story. Before we get to that, we usually ask a couple questions. What motivates you, and why do you do what you do?
I think motivates me is the understand. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go like as esoteric as I can be, as true and authentic as I can be. So, so like if people decide by the end of the show that hey, he's crazy, I'm fine with that. And I believe what motivates me is I want to think that I started living in my authentic alignment, or at least I'm striving to and doing my best to, or getting to that authentic alignment is all the time. And not that maybe you can say like working on that. And I think that's the point where when you understand why you are here, although this is very big words, right? Like those like kind of purpose, whatever it is, you cannot neglect it. You know, like people say about healers a lot, that like the moment a healer discovers that they're a healer, that they can heal, if they don't follow their passion, or if they don't start healing, this actually, the superpower, what let's call it so, actually can kill them.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of the same thing, you know, like let's say so, like I just discovered my kind of maybe superpower, and if I don't do it, it's just not gonna be me.
You have to self-actualize. A lot of people don't, actually find their real path.
Yeah.
Because they've been kind of given a path that by their parents or by society, and they're told like, well, gotta be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an architect, and then they find this crucible moment, it's like, well, that's not really speaking to me.
Yeah.
And it's like then they realize what speaks to them maybe doesn't is not what other people think they should be aligned with, but that's not their life. I mean, that's not their path. Like you have your own path.
Exactly. You're looking at exactly an example like that, like, you know, when everything was predefined before, and then and then I was like, wait a second, that train is going to the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's one thing I always wondered, like the permission structure. I always ask a lot of creative people or people who make decisions to become entrepreneurs or have a thought idea that they put into the world. Like, what gave you that impetus to do it?
Yeah. I won't. Well, I won't get like, you know, I won't say like, oh, that's me. Like I did it. I honestly, I think we're here. We all are here for something, and some of us are blessed. I won't afraid of that word, blessed, to be guided in a sense by the universe. You call it whatever, God, universe, whatever people choose, through certain events that you, in the moment, you don't understand that these are the events that are guiding you towards this kind of alignment, right? And that's and then there are other people who are like, who are sitting and saying like, no, I'm gonna find that thing and I'm gonna do like certain exercises, like, you know, go to retreats or something. I was not that guy. I was studying in a military university in Russia, in Moscow, and being for like already 7 years. At the age of 20, I was 7 years already in the army. Imagine, since the age of 14.
Like in the officer track, you're trying to go down.
Yeah, I was like that, you know. Yeah. And at that time, like you will understand me more than anything, I believe, as your musician. I wish I were a musician, but I started DJing, and a good friend of mine, he taught me how to DJ, and we were DJing in a nightclub, and I was like, imagine like when you're in the army or in the military structure since the age of 14, like I've been living in barracks since the age of 14.
Oh,
And
wow.
then 20, I'm like, I already moved from Kazakhstan to Moscow, and but I'm still living kind of barracks life. It's still no freedom life.
Yeah,
So I
no.
didn't have my like free puberty. I didn't have like my teenage years. I didn't like nothing of that. And then
Always
still,
structured.
yeah, always structured, always like told what to do, and always feeling that like I'm tired of that. But then you're kind of there, and then you're learning to DJ, and then like magically, like this feeling when you're on stage and that the
Yeah, it's like
people
the
are just,
artist. Well, the art
yeah,
thing,
you're
like
like an
even
artist.
yeah, well, being a DJ is an art. It's
It's
more
an
like
art. It's a creative art.
you learn how to deal with hooks. And you
Exactly.
learn how to deal with grooves, and you present the grooves, and you have to discern how to string
Yeah,
those together. That's a production.
exactly.
That's like a producer.
Exactly. And then also like you have to read the crowd, right? Because it's like
Yeah,
it was
yeah, read the
2000,
moment.
2003. So like, back then, like like my DJ controller was an old crap tractor, and we had like
Oh yeah, it's limited.
and like half of the buttons were not working, but like the vibe and the feeling, I was just like wow, and the freedom. So at that moment, I would never think that the freedom that I was experiencing would be a foundational stone or cornerstone of everything that I'm
Sure.
going to build later. But so that's where it
It's
started
like the
anyway.
start of your journey there. That's interesting because, like, as a musician, I always and I talk to a lot of creatives. We talk about the muse,
Uh-huh.
right? We talk
Okay.
about being like we get these downloads from the universe, right? And
Hmm.
musicians happen to have this ability to kind of be able to read that, right, and then synthesize it. So it's this ability to take what's inside you
Yeah.
and 10,000 hours that you trained on your
Yeah.
instrument, and then also be able to pick up what the universe has, like what be able to read the
Can
moment.
connect
Yeah,
to the
you
frequency.
have to the synthesis of connecting the dots of the external and the internal, the mystical, the spiritual,
Yeah.
all these things kind of come through. And I think it's interesting because I've had this connection with a lot of people who deal with spiritual like concepts or what you're doing, and there's a lot of it's interrelated with being a creative. I think a lot of
Yeah.
times we have the same kind of belief systems.
Definitely, and that's why I call it like authentic alignment, because in this moment when you are as a creative, when you're as a musician, when you're like you're channeling, right? Like that's what
Yeah,
you're doing. You're
channeling.
like it's a portal that opened, and that information is downloading through you. You have to bring it down to the ground, bring it to the existence of the physical reality through the prism of whatever you have learned and your life experience.
Yeah,
I'm doing the same with the arc.
yeah. Okay, you found a way to create this vehicle, and you call it the arc. And maybe we're gonna talk about like, well, how do you want to like approach letting the world know like what is the arc and what is that how does that shape your personal journey to get to where you are with the arc?
Well, we call it a regenerative village for the new era, and we all who like now with this project who live this reality, we believe that we are at an inverse point of our civilization. This is maybe you heard that like normally all civilizations collapse in the concourse of between 200 and 300 years,
Hmm.
and US is 248 years now,
Yeah, I'm
and
in the
it's the
middle of
yeah,
that.
we're in the middle of that, and you can see that, like you see, like the boat is shaking, right?
Yeah, yeah, we kind of feel it. Like some
Yeah,
people don't feel it because they think they're doing the right thing,
exactly,
and other people say, "Well, you know what? Like the captain's sending us over the cliff."
exactly. And this is the first time in the history of humanity when the world is so entangled that collapse or whatever significant event to one civilization will inevitably, and such big, right, like a superpower like US, will inevitably mean the collapse of the whole economical model. So like it's
Yeah,
everything that three.
it's all
Yeah,
interconnected. I mean, the color
exactly.
global. The problem is we have people who are anti-global,
Yeah,
and then they don't understand the interconnection of the global world, right?
exactly.
So then they want to go back to like 1920 type of isolationism when there's all these interconnections. It's
Yeah,
like, was it, like you kind of like that you missed that train.
Yeah, like by a century.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like, and we believe like at the arc that we're this bridge, we are, because the capitalism is inevitably going to collapse. We now see the real face of capitalism. We see, like, before, I, I remember, like, I don't know, beginning of 2000s, right? And like, and obviously, like, even way before, when like economical growth and everything, and it was like capitalism was justified, that like, yeah, whatever, like, we're going for like um bad food, but we have to make mass production of food because at least we're feeding the population. And then it was like, yeah, but like, we're sacrificing mental health, but people are making money and buying
Yeah.
real
Well,
estate.
it's the capitalist, like, basically efficiency,
Yeah,
profit, you know,
productivity.
productivity. But then, if you're an artist, you're like, well, where, sometimes
Yeah,
the arts are not productive, right? And
exactly,
they're not efficient. They
exactly.
are
Just
designed
like,
to be like inefficient. They tend to cause trouble. Like they tend
exactly.
not to be the thing that's gonna be. It's like, if you have the bell curve, the art's on the outer edges of the bell curve, right?
Yeah,
Bell curve is everybody trying to stay in a box,
yeah,
but the artists are all on the outer edges of that curve, and it's
exactly,
always that. And the people who are kind of pushing things, pushing the envelope, they were like they don't want to think inside the box. So it's a
exactly.
challenge to the structure. There's always going to be a structural challenge, and eventually, like, when you have something that just burns stuff out, like capitalism is like industrialism burns things out.
Exactly.
So if you don't have a more like Gaia focused mindset, or an indigenous,
Yeah,
or like, like the indigenous, and the more the cultures that understood how to live with the planet,
exactly.
right?
There we
Like
go.
I'm part Cherokee Blackfoot,
Yeah,
and they wouldn't stay at the river, until it floods, and then say, why did that happen?
yeah.
But they would move based on situational awareness of knowing what the earth does, and not want to just stay by the river, stay by this area. Like, when we move to wherever Gaia kind of says we should be. Okay, but this mindset is like, I will just plant myself here and always be here. Okay, well, like, that's what you get. When we kind of running into that now.
Exactly, and that's what you're right, that's what we're running into now. And like, finally we are seeing the real face, and we are understanding that, like, oh, wait a second. Now, actually, like, first of all, there was a saying, like, the money cannot buy happiness, or like whatever, health and everything.
Yeah,
Before there were money, but now we're like, wait a second, capitalism is now, like, the vast differentiation between, like, now 8 richest people in the world own as much wealth, financial wealth, as 3.4 billion people in the world. And you're
yeah,
like, wait a second, something's working very wrong now. And there we go. Like, so we at the arc, we believe that we're this bridge through this inverse point, where we want to dedicate our energy, our life, our attention, our resources towards this more beautiful world that's possible. And we
mhm,
believe that living differently, you have to start from, you remember Maslow pyramid, right? Like, you have to start from down, from the foundation, from like,
yeah,
from
but
your
no shit.
security, from your home, right? So like, we're a home project, we're a village. And that's what we're doing. We are reimagining, and in a sense bringing back people a little bit to the past, where, like,
Mhm.
you're living on the land, living off the land.
So
But
regenerative, kind of like, kind of what the hippies in the '70s tried
exactly
in
like what
the
hippies tried.
US, but they
Yeah.
didn't really weren't fully successful.
And I think their problem was that there were hippies, right? It's just like a
Yeah.
lifestyle that you're like, oh, I'm not sure about that, like,
Yeah, wait,
then
actually
it
the
goes like,
definition is like you're hip because you were trying to be popular.
exactly.
Were you really trying to be living with Gaia, or were you thinking that was the trend of the day?
Exactly. And there was like, a lot of like, there was a lot of like drugs, and then, like, it's like free love kind of movement and all of that, where, like, you had to be a specific kind in order to be in the movement,
Yeah, yeah.
where we obviously we don't have all of that, but we're like, okay, you have to be a human. and you have to be a human who is connected to nature and who understands the idea of regeneration, of helping of us as humans helping nature and being like as a part of nature, and like inseparable part of nature, and very influential part of nature. So like, how can we bring a positive change to nature, right? Like, how can we regenerate? And we call it like, for the new era, because we believe also that villages from the past, we don't want to retreat from life. We are building, we're creating this new way of living for this new time. And it's very interconnected time. It's like, you have artificial intelligence, you're like working remote, like most of the times, right? Like, but also like it gives a lot of freedom not to be tied down to like one place. So like, actually it's a plus now. Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, I think the thing is a lot of times the people have these ideas and they go off and create this village in the middle of like nowhere that's not connected to the net,
yeah.
not connected to power, not to connected to anything, and kind of live in isolation. So it's kind of an isolationist mindset where sounds like you've got an idea that's not kind of set with that mode,
No,
right?
definitely no. Yes, and this kind of like escapism, right? It's just like, we're gonna go and like create a commune, and this commune is gonna be like, and there you go. No, we're not that, and that's why I call ourselves a bridge, because we take, and we call ourselves the Ark, right? Like, we are carrying very serious name in a sense. So we're like, by name, by design, we're embracing everything, like the best practices, and capitalism has best practices, right? And
Yeah, I think it can become a little more I don't know, it can become volatile or
yeah,
destructive because like anything if you take to an extreme.
exactly, anything,
You take any like you take socialism, you take communism, you take
anything,
capitalism, you take any idea, like political idea, because I was a
and then
political.
it's become extremism.
Yeah, if you get extreme with it, then you just like you get to this point where, you talk about like the wealth gap.
Yeah,
Like what we've seen in the past before the Great Depression in the US is we had a massive wealth gap. Kind of in it Gilded Age, there was a massive wealth gap.
yeah,
And then like people don't seem to read history.
no,
Like if you go back and you check the historical situations, like every time you have that kind of like that mismatch where you have
yeah,
like the fewer people have all the resources.
you get
Like well,
revolutions.
those people who actually create the most capacity, or like if you deny the capacity of the planet and
Yeah,
hoard, basically it's hoarding. Like
yeah,
so then you're not allowing those resources to be distributed to human beings on the planet. You were saying that it's okay for single individuals or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 individuals to have the majority of the resources of the planet. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah. No, definitely, yeah. And this is the same. Like, look at Russia. Like in the revolution of like 1917. Like, like it's just like when you have like, it's the same, like the wealth gap, and just like, the masses cannot handle anymore, in a sense, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
that's it, we're done. And we're getting to certain points, but let's not talk about like sad things, right? And that's what the arc is about. We're like,
You got to
because
get beyond
it catches it catches attention, right? It's like, that's how this, like, where attention goes, energy flows, right? Like, and the majority of people living in the modern environment, and like plugged into the TV channel, and like, and going into like social media, and you're just like, you're there, and this sucks you out, and you can spend time and time and time and energy, like, just on that. So
Well,
we're
yeah,
like,
it's
kind
more
of,
like a receiver rather than a doer. You know,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yes, and that's what we decided to do. We're like, no, wait a second. Like, I stopped reading news and watching news like 5 years ago during pandemic, in March 2020. It was the last time that I read news, and I was like, you know what? This serves me no good anymore. I'm like, I'm done. And I tell you honestly, I'm much happier. And it's just like, my explanation for myself was always like, how will I be able to sustain a conversation at the table? you know And I was like, and honestly speaking, after some time, I caught myself, and I still catching myself in the situations where I'm like, I have zero idea of what people might be talking about. And before it, I felt like, I felt that I'm deficient in a sense. And now I'm carrying it with so much pride. I'm like, wait, tell me about it. And people are telling me what's happening. I'm like, wow, that's what's happening in the world. And they look at me like sometimes like an idiot, but at the same time, I see that they're so envious. They're like, wow, really, you're so free. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I think if you can free yourself of those constructs of like a lot of the stressors in the world
Yeah,
are based on what the information we get, and we got a lot of algorithms, I'm into, software design. There's a lot of algorithms that are pushing certain things for certain reasons.
definitely.
And if you could, being a creative person, I actually unplug a lot to actually focus on creating art.
You have to, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
and I
it's
think a lot of
depressing.
artists, yeah, because it's like if you stay so connected to the phone or to the internet or whatever, right, a TV, internet, phone, like you get you end up losing your focus. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of people today don't have a good focus. They don't have good retention. They basically, they can't read like a 300,000 word book. They can't watch anything over 30 seconds. They can't listen to music over 2 minutes and 30 seconds because their attention span has been degraded by all these devices that are pinging us.
yeah,
And I'm a child of the 70s. I'm more into like I listen to a whole vinyl record,
to
not
the
skip
whole
around.
album.
Yeah, listen to the whole thing, right? Watch an old movie and
Yeah,
not say, well, its pacing is I can't understand it because it's not fast. Like if you watch movies from the 30s or the 40s or the
it's
50s,
so slow.
they're very slow for a modern mind.
Yeah,
Modern mind gets bored. It's like they can't hang with it. They can't read the classic books because like, oh, Moby Dick is too much. It's like too much. It's like I can't read that. It's too much. It's like, but how much do you miss
yeah,
because you're being like triggered by these immediate responses?
true. Yeah, yeah. And this is also like it's our challenge in a sense, right? Like, so where is it going? How can we still like stay updated in a sense, but at the same time not to lose ourselves in those currents, right?
Mhm.
And for well, and I'm not saying that we are the solution,
Yeah, yeah,
but as a one of the solutions that are we're offering and what we see at like a lifestyle that people who are choosing the arc as their home choosing is you connect with the soil, you grow food, you grow your own food. And I
yeah.
tell you, this is like
That's
there
a lot of work in itself.
exactly. This is because there is like you cannot do any. It grows the way it grows. It grows by the speed it's gonna grow. You cannot do anything there. You cannot speed it up.
Yeah.
And it's just like you ground yourself, and you get out in the sun, you swim in the ocean, you spend time in the conversations by the fire. You like you become in a sense human again, where you just enjoy the day-to-day living.
Well, yeah, you're enjoying each other's company. Like I think a lost art is like we said, if you're connected to all the modern devices like radio, TV, whatever, what we've lost is the fact that in the old time, and especially like a Native American, they have all these oral histories. Even
Yeah,
African Americans, there's all this oral history that you would learn from your grandpa, your great grandpa, you learn from your elders. And that gets missed in the modern world where people don't sit at the table and talk. They have a
yeah,
TV on or they have the internet on. Like if you bring it back down to like living on the land and like having your feet touch the soil and then actually hearing your own your friends' voices and listening to deeper conversations than like what's the weather and what's the sports score or whatever the issue is on the net. You actually can have a real conversation about feelings and connectedness, I would think, that
yeah,
maybe people today, they don't really get into that unless they're
yeah.
talking to the therapist.
Exactly. And yeah, and this is another good example is like we lost the ability to to describe something. When was the last time, like, and I'm including, I catch myself all the time whenever I'm in the conversation and I'm trying to explain a waterfall that I went recently to, and I start explaining the water, and I'm like, wait, let me show you the photo. And I'm like, wait a second, sit and explain the waterfall, how the trees were, how the water was falling, how big was like the pool, like
Yeah.
describe things. Like
Yeah, it's
now,
old world, like they want literature. If you
yeah,
go back to old literature, it has very detailed descriptions of the scenes. Of every scene is like a movie.
yeah,
Like with the authors, because there's no TV and no radio. If you read the books before TV and radio, the books are giving you that film view of the world that the author is creating.
yeah,
That it gets like pulled out of modern books because it's too much. Because the reader, like, oh, they don't need to know that. Right?
yeah,
They get a very minimal view of a lot of things because like everything's visual. So that
exactly.
people would like, I'll wait for the movie to see what it is.
Yeah. So it's in a sense, it's like, this, that's why we call it a village, because it's a village life, and it's a new era. And so we believe we are this offering kind of for the new era. And like, I would say like our main distinction from what projects like this might be offering is that we are not a real estate development. That's what I always tell to people, because people are like, how is your development? I'm not doing a development.
But you have fractional ownership concept.
We have everything. It's a 200-acre property. We have 15-acre farm. We have 60 acres natural kind of wildlife sanctuary. We have a river down there. This land was deforested in 1966. It was a cattle ranch for 60 years. So
wow.
we are on this noble mission of like regenerating the soil, reforesting back. Yeah,
Back to like its natural state rather than being
exactly, making it an edible jungle. Yeah,
industrial farm. Like an industrial agriculture has its own issues.
exactly, right. And we're like on this kind of mission to prove that humans can bring positive development to the sites which they're going to populate. You don't have to cut out the jungle and to go live there. You can actually take what was already degraded, already was destroyed way before you, and bring it back and revive it. But the main thing is like, why we're not a real estate development is that we're kind of would think of ourselves as like this movement or a model or a blueprint. We don't have investors, so we like whatever we're doing, we're like doing on the like I invested my initial capital like to launch the project, and now whatever we're making as the project, we're reinvesting back. And whenever we're going to finish building whatever we are building for ourselves, like the main facilities, whatever we want to have, then the all profit that we're generating is going to be redistributed among all the people who live in the arc.
Wow. So it's more like it's communal. It's a communal structure.
It's a cooperative village.
Yeah.
Because then now you're becoming like, for instance, we're making a music recording studio.
Oh wow.
And so like now you're imagine that you're like recording there, or you're working with the studio, right? So like now you are carrying this part, the representation of the arc of our kind of, well, I wouldn't say a label, but still in a sense. By the way, you will like it because we're making it fully analog. We are not, we're fully doing like analog studio. But imagine like now you understand that like you're actually bringing something to the table through your craft. And you can dedicate yourself more to the craft as well, because like, well, you're generating certain profit, like financial, if we're talking about just financial, but at the same time, you're relaxed because there are like 90, 100, 200 other people who are doing something else, not necessarily as their job, but they might be like, a voice. They might be, I don't know, doing some marketing or doing hospitality or doing something, and not necessarily as their work. It might be also voluntary kind of involvement. So, and you're gaining, or you're benefiting from everything that we are creating together as a village.
So you got this kind of very modern, some people would see some kind of similarity to what was done in the 70s in the US, with certain things, but it seems like you've gone another step and you've gotten like the like fractional ownership and you've got regenerative living and you're committed to like kind of that kind of oneness with the planet, that kind of
Yeah.
idea, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
But how do you balance like the profit? Because every time profit gets in, like how do you like keep the profit monster from like wrecking things?
Yeah. That's a good question, right? Like because we're conditioned to think that that wealth or growth automatically means financial growth, or wealth automatically means financial wealth. But then we also like capitalism, and that's true, right? Like capitalism, again, coming back to this, is not the only god for capitalism is money.
Yeah.
So whenever you praise the god, you sacrifice everything rest. And in the post-capitalistic models, in the post-growth models, then you actually recognize wealth as a centered wealth. You have mental wealth, mental health, mental wealth.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you have spiritual, you have
That's the thing is like you have to. A lot of times, capitalism doesn't actually account for
no,
like a lot of things. Like if you have a product, it doesn't actually calculate the cost of the damage it does to the country, right?
never.
To the environment, right? You don't
Exactly.
calculate the damage it does to somebody's peace of mind,
Yeah,
right?
it's
You
like
don't.
look
If
at
you don't
like deep
calculate
sea
those
mining.
things, yeah. So if you don't actually price the product,
Exactly.
if you had like something like in the asbestos, they
Yeah,
didn't price the profit they were making into the destruction they were doing, or like
yeah,
tobacco, they didn't price
exactly,
into the product the cancer it causes, right?
exactly.
So until then suddenly they have to deal with it because they never really consider it. So if you in the future, if you consider like this idea might make the most, maybe it breaks even, but maybe
Yeah,
that's a lot of peace of mind, and people find that actually is worth like that
exactly.
profit is my emotional stability,
Yeah, because
right?
what do you? I think when you are also like covering the the basics already, and then yeah, how do you make it like round, like how nothing is popping out, like yeah, like what we're saying, right? Like oh, money covers it all, and then you're mentally well, not ill, but like you're mentally not well,
Yeah, you're
physically
stressed.
not well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
you'll
you're
be making all
stressed.
this. Yeah, you'll be a Wall Streeter. Like you can see the
Exactly.
Wall. I know a lot of friends are like they're Wall Streeters. They got all this money. They have
Yeah,
all the external things,
and then something
but
is missing.
they're at the therapist. They're on the fourth divorce. They're
Yeah,
not happy. They're
yeah,
like so the money was supposed to make them happy,
but
and they
then
have it, but like they got 3 houses, they got 3 ex-wives. It's like they're not happy. And
exactly,
their family life is not good, that they can't communicate with their mom, they can't communicate with their kids, they can't even communicate with their neighbor.
they
And we're like it's
cannot
like,
communicate with themselves.
yeah. So it's like, what is the point?
Exactly, and that's what like the capitalism kind of sold to us, right? Like they're just like yeah, and now we understand that it is not so. And here that's the point. You're like, it's not that you're we are going to get somewhere and then we're going to be happy. More of like, hey, this is the lifestyle that you go surf, you're like you work out, you spend time in like in great company, you work the land, you're working on your health, you are in the driver's seat of your health, which is very important.
Health is a
So
big part of what you're talking about then, because I think
for
a lot of
sure.
people they think their career is their life, right? So
Yeah.
they're in the cube at that career, going to work, and they're looking for that to be the panacea for everything, and then they're wondering why, if I'm spending 60 hours in a cube, right, and driving,
Without sunlight.
yeah, driving in my car that's wrecking the environment, getting stressed out because of the traffic in that drive, and then not with my family, not
Yeah.
with my friends. I spend all my time doing that because that's supposed to bring me the happiness. I mean, that's kind of what we've been sold, is like that in the box of career is
Yeah.
going to bring you all your happiness.
Yeah.
And then people find out what it's not.
It is. It is so. I have a good friend, and by now he has 5 kids. And when his fourth kid was born, I asked him, so like, hey, so what's the, and the fourth kid was born when he was already like maybe 50. And I was like, hey, so what's the difference? And he's like, you know what? I don't remember, and I didn't put any consciousness how the first three were born and how they were raised. I was not there. I was working all the time. And that's the thing, right? And he's
Yeah,
and that at the age of 50, he was like, I'm giving myself a promise to be a great dad. And then he, like, he dedicates now all his time to his kids. But it took it
it
took
takes too long.
long years. It took like good 30 years of work, of like health and all of these things. So that's what we're inviting people to rethink these models. Like it's not a must to live like this, and we are so blessed to live in this time, because again, if not internet, if not technology, we would not be having this conversation, right?
Yeah,
Like I would have to fly
exactly.
to see you. So like now you can finally, like, online work is accepted. You can still work, and we're not we are a working collective. It's not like, different people are doing different things. We have people still in investment. We have people in working with crypto. We have people working a
So
lot with the
they're
project.
working a remote job, but they
They
actually live in a community where they actually maybe have more time to
For
be present
themselves. Yeah.
present in their lives.
Yeah, eat the food that you grew up, or like, the team grew up. But like, there, it's not that it was not even, it hasn't even gotten to a car. It's like, you go from the farm, you pick it up, you eat it in the moment.
Yeah, because today we have to worry about, like, in the US right now, is like we're getting all these alerts about listeria
Yeah.
and recalls. So like our trust level for our food, like for a while there was a social contract when you go to the supermarket, when you buy that thing, it's supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
Now you could go and you could get listeria, you could get sick, people going to the hospital. So the contract is starting to kind of, it's like I grow a lot of things hydroponically in my house with my daughter.
Nice.
We have
Amazing.
multiple hydroponic gardens and a garden outside because like I'm a cancer survivor and my wife
Wow.
is actually going through like a recovery in cancer. And we discovered, like, we don't like all these pesticides on the food
Mhm.
from the supermarket. And so we control what our food source is, which a lot of people, back in the day, we had victory gardens during World War II. People did control their food, but then they let it go
Yeah.
to give it to the corporate, structure.
Yeah.
And then that structure doesn't really care about your health. They care about the profitability of the vegetable they sell.
Exactly. Yeah. Today, less than 2% of all farming in the world is regenerative farming, regenerative agriculture. Less than 2%. And this is insane. And it's not and an important thing to distinguish there. It's like, between like, organic and regenerative, right? Because like we are, for instance, a regenerative project and regenerative farm, where like you're taking all stakeholders into consideration, and nature is an equal stakeholder as humans.
Hmm.
Like organic doesn't mean that, like, if it's a farm is organic, it doesn't matter
Yeah,
that
that's
it's not
regenerative.
necessarily regenerative. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the future, like, we not like we believe, it's very obvious. I mean, it's not, I'm in a sense, thanks God to ChatGPT, that, like, I'm kind of getting like reaffirmations of everything that I was thinking, because when you just put to ChatGPT and you're just like, what is, like, just give me the statistics about farming in the world, and, like, what is the way forward for humanity, and ChatGPT is going to tell you, like, the only way forward is regenerative
Yeah. I mean, because what
agriculture.
we're doing with what the way we're doing the farming now is so destructive
So horrible.
and it's like nutritionally deficient.
It's zero.
Yeah, I mean, could people go get these tomatoes
Which is
that are
perfect point.
designed just to be packed,
Sold.
but but
Beautifully sold.
they're designed so that they can be shipped without getting messed up, but they actually have no nutritional value,
Yeah.
right? So then you get all these things that are look good, so it's very surface level stuff,
Yeah.
and people are so visual. It's like if it looks good, it must be good.
Yeah,
instead of like going back to like an old school. It's like maybe you should like have this because it's nutritionally good for you, but like I'd rather go for the shiny thing, the
yeah,
shiny pretty thing, without understanding what's actually necessary for your nutrition.
yeah.
And so people don't actually get the right nutrition because they're just looking at pretty pictures.
Exactly. And this is the same that what we just spoke with you about, right? It's just like it's the generation of surface attention. It all goes to the same, right? It's just like you don't do your research, you don't understand what you're putting into your body, and it doesn't matter again. Like it's we're not, and also for us at the Arc, we are not like some type of food community. We're not. We have
Just
vegans, we
like
have
you're not vegan, you
vegetarians,
have people, they're
we have
not just saying,
carnivores.
no, you're not
Yeah.
strictly vegan and that's the only way.
No, I was vegetarian for 6 years. I started eating meat back again last year. I feel great. I'm not saying that it's forever.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I
You just
share
know
a meal
where
with.
you are.
Yeah, I have a friend here, our like community member. She's fruitarian. She mainly eats fruits, and we're sharing meals and we're sharing dinners. So the idea is not what type of food you eat, but the idea is that how clean is your food, right? Like where
Yeah,
it's
the clean,
coming
like,
from,
where is
and
it
like
coming from? Like, they got heavy pesticide,
exactly,
heavy fertilizer that came from, like, corporate level, corporate farming. Corporate
yeah,
farming is like
corporate
all
farming,
these chemicals, nitrogens, chemicals, all these things that they add, right?
exactly,
That are not really from the Gaia, right?
yeah.
They're from the DuPont or Monsanto.
Yeah. And it's all, even like, for us, like having our connection with the soil, we can talk a lot and a lot about it, like, like how rapidly we're losing soil on Earth, how long it takes for Earth, because like Earth
Regenerate.
regenerates itself, but it takes like generations, thousands of years, and how quick we're losing the soil. But also for us, for humans, like how important it is to have the connection with the soil. Every Saturday, for instance, we have this, like we call it like open farm day, so people just come from like all town, everywhere, like people come and
Mhm.
just like help us with at the farm. And you just like the way like you put your hands into the soil, the
Yeah,
amount of like the amount of nutrients, that it's just like you grounding, and then also the biodiversity in your gut that is coming through that. And
yeah.
it's an enormous benefit that it's very lost. We like humans in the contemporary environment, we're disconnected
Well, we
from
lost,
soil.
like, the fungal content, like, the right
Yeah,
bacteria, the right everything's been kinda so put through the lab, like, problem is, like, science is great, but when you have biologists and chemists,
yeah,
like, deciding how to farm, they get kinda tunnel vision, and they start talking about the yield. Right,
exactly, the
being
productivity.
the most important, the productivity becomes the thing, so they work on that, and they're trying to solve that problem, like you said, they're going, "Oh, we're gonna feed the world, but we're giving them low nutrition value stuff, but we're just giving them, like,
McDonald's.
bare minimum." Like, you're just giving them you're giving them a biscuit. You're giving them a nutritional biscuit
Yeah,
packed full of whatever you think is right, like, what you would give to an astronaut.
yeah.
Right? But I live on this planet. Why are we doing that? I'm not going to Mars yet.
Exactly. Hopefully never. I'm kind of liking this planet.
Yeah, I'd rather explore the ocean than rather go to Mars. I mean, we still haven't explored the ocean.
Definitely.
We have a
Yeah.
lot of biodiversity in the ocean, stuff that we haven't even discovered,
Haven't understood. Yeah.
that we don't fully understand, and we wanna just jump and go to Mars. I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
It just seems to me what you've got is a mindset is like it's very, open, like, you're very expansive. Where I think maybe the mistakes I've heard in the past, or I've seen in the past, with the communities where they were maybe too narrow.
Yeah.
They were too narrowly focused, and it's like, "It's all vegan, it's all this, it's all that, it's all or nothing. It's
Exactly.
black or white." It sounds like you're not in that zone.
We're not, and this is, I believe, why, and I know why a lot of people are choosing us, because there is this neutrality about everything. And like in the end of the day, we we have one of our slogans is like, we gather to grow and to come to oneness with each other in nature. It's just like, like in the end of the day, we are humans and we're part of something much larger.
Mm-hmm.
And there shall be no separation. And it truly shall be so, not just on paper, because we heard it so much, right? Like we heard it from all the motivational whatsoever books and and the philosophical pamphlets about like, oh, no separation between humans and like this and that. The reality is very different, right? It's just like like there is separation on all sorts of like in geographical and by races and nationalities, and unfortunately we see that the world is getting more and more divided, right? It's just like
It's more. You totally. We're gone from a point in the '60s and '70s where people were like coming together, even though there was a lot of volatility.
yeah
There was this kind of idea in the '70s, and I'm a child of the '70s, that people were trying to come to some notion of like Earth Day,
yeah
like the environmental movement, like there's the people should actually like read the planet, like read the room, read the planet, right?
yeah
Like realize that all the science and all these things that we were getting, like the Tang and all these like supplement, all these like chemical driven food,
yeah
like we were kind of given all this chemical driven food that is like, oh, it's amazing. But then people started saying, what about like getting back to nature? What about trying, understanding what those ingredients are? And they're saying, why is the red dye? Why is the yellow dye? Why is all these chemicals coming from the American chemical industry in my food? And why is it that way? Right. And then people started saying, like, maybe we should try to live with our own body too. Like our body is rejecting this stuff. People are getting allergic reactions. People are getting diseases, because maybe we're not supposed to eat this stuff.
and keep getting, right? It's like we see the major inflammation and chronic diseases like
Yeah.
across the board. And yeah, so this we desperately need new living models. And the beautiful thing is that I'm happy that we are not the only ones. I mean, there are so many
People trying
projects
to
that
get
are
back.
trying to find, and it's not easy. It's not easy. As we are programmed. It takes a lot of deprogramming and a lot of unlearning, a lot of like understanding back, like because we don't know anymore how to relate. We don't know, like I don't
Like
know,
you
like
said,
in which
segmentation, there's a lot of segmentation and
yeah
a lot of separation. Like we're living in this world where people are going back into nationalism. They're
exactly
going back into separation. They're going back into like my way or the highway type thinking,
exactly
where there was a more expansive thinking, like, well, maybe we can like look at everything, everybody's point of view, and make some decisions. And no, the people come back down and say, no, this billionaire has an idea and they're going to push it top down to the bottom instead of bottom up. And
yeah
we're living in this kind of top down, like they believe the 100 people in this room with all the money believe this, and they will
yeah
make you believe this.
yeah yeah true. So yeah, they're like, and we want to believe that we're contributing to this larger, more beautiful world, to the sacredness of life. And therefore, people who are joining the arc, they truly believe that just by this act of joining a different way of living, we're already contributing to something larger. So
Like,
therefore, like our energy is like out, it's going towards, okay, how can we change things towards better, rather than like ruminating of like, oh, things are not working, because they don't. But
yeah, I think a lot of people are like in the States, they get depressed
yeah
because they don't see solutions,
yeah
because they're kind of waiting for somebody to give them the solution, because we've been programmed to get the magic pill, to get
yeah
the magic product, get the magic service is going to go from 0 to 100 and solve all our problems right now.
yeah
Where
forgetting that we ourselves is the magic.
yeah, like
We are the magic.
you have to have participation, right? Your idea of the arc requires a community to come together, and you have to kind of work together and talk, and it's not all this like this individual is going to solve it. Like we've got this Horatio Alger myth. There's
Yeah.
suddenly like this one guy's going to come up with the magic bullet, and they're going to get everything, and nobody really helped them, and they just did it all themselves. And that's really like what you're trying to go back to is like it's not like individual is nice, but individuals that come together in a community can solve bigger problems
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
this like I'm going to be this magic. I'm going to be like I'm going to be Henry Ford.
Yeah.
I'm
No, it's
I'm gonna go and just magically solve it. I'm gonna be Rockefeller. I'm just gonna do it. And yeah, maybe these guys can do it, but it's not really coming from that bottom up strategy. It's more the top down.
yeah, because we do have this innate magic and innate feeling, innate understanding in ourselves. And you say it exactly right. It's this like we are conditioned to give away our power, right? Like doctor knows the best, and like and like some expert on somewhere is gonna know the best. And as long as they do know a lot, but at the same time, innately you can feel it. You tap into this never-ending internal wisdom that is inside of you.
Yeah, and if you pull together with other people in community and community building, like we had a lot of fights and ideological structure against like communalism because it gets tied to other social systems, and people kind of like, well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because then they tag it like in the power games, the balance of power games back in the 60s, in the 50s, like, oh, I can't have that
Yeah.
because I'd rather have like the like McDonald's.
Yeah.
I'd rather have like Starbucks. I rather have like everybody loves Amazon. So the ultimate monopoly. Like we get into these things that is taking like massive, they're gonna solve everything. Like this one-stop shop. Like we're living in this mindset today. We get this massive corporation that takes care of your pharmacy, your media, your food, like everything come from one place. Is at the ultimate one-stop shop, and you're like, well, what if I had an idea? Like, no, 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 their idea is better.
You just have to consume.
Yeah, you just become a consumer. Right, they kind of plugged into this like, "Oh, I would just go pick this off the
Yeah.
shelf, or this
Yeah.
service here, or this thing here," and they got all my answers.
But the good thing is, and good news is that we're getting a tremendous amount of interest, and actually, like with people from US, it's always the same narrative. Like whenever I have calls, like like to join the ARC as a resident, people have to go through a series of interviews, and one of them is with me. And whenever I have these interviews, people and I normally even like say to people like I exactly know what you're going to say, why you want to join the ARC, because they all say the same. But this is actually good news. It's not that like we don't hear that we're like, oh, I'm looking for a calm retirement home, or I want to like start my life anew, or like they're like I want to get out from the system because I know that the system is dysfunctional.
Mhm.
And there are more and more and more people, and like every person from US, now also from Canada, people from Canada normally in general say like I want to get out from the country. But the thing is that it's in a sense you may say like how well it's sad, but in a sense it's great because you understand that it doesn't matter if people choose the ARC or not, or they choose like some other project, but the thing is that people think, and there are more and more people who are getting awakened, and
Yeah.
people who are deciding to take action, and
Yeah,
they're
again,
deciding
instead
to
of
step out.
being depressed, the default thing is, like, a lot of people want people to feel powerless.
Yeah.
There's certain people that they're kinda power system, their power dynamics is, "If I make you feel powerless, you'll come to me for the solution, because then I can keep you in that loop, that bad loop." But then when you get people who start to say, "You know what? I could actually break this cycle. Like, I could retrain," like, anybody who's like a musician or an athlete knows that you can remap your point of view. Like you can project. Like an athlete doesn't even have to physically practice. They can just project that game in their mind.
Yeah.
When they get to really advanced kind of practices, like in their mind, they can kind of go through those plays without even physically doing it. And then you start to realize the power of the mind and then spirit and body and soul. And you start to align. It's like, oh, I got to be aligned
Yeah.
as a human, right? I got to have alignment with my mindset, my nutrition, my spiritual, my heart, my soul, and my logical brain.
Exactly. So there are good news in everything.
Yeah, it seems like people are starting to figure out, then they come to you or they come to other people who are in the same kind of space. But like, I think a lot of people are getting burned out with the powers, the structure is kind of deficient.
Yeah.
Like in America right now, we have a lot of structurally deficient bridges. They were built like 100 years ago, and people have said, well, that's just going to stay there forever
And
with
that's it.
no maintenance.
Yeah.
And like, what you find is that you have to maintain something, right? Because if you don't,
Yeah.
it's structurally deficient.
It's gonna inevitably collapse.
Yeah, so that's what we're running into. Like the structural, like our infrastructure was built like 100 years ago,
Yeah.
and we haven't kept up with it because we just kind of like, well, if it doesn't break in front of me, I don't know
That,
about it. I don't care about it.
then it's a problem of the next generation, right?
Yeah, if it doesn't break right now, then I'll just push it to the next one. It's like
Exactly.
you guys are kind of like the structural deficiency stops now, right? That you
Yeah,
start.
and it's also like it's an important question, like to ask yourself what kind of an ancestor are you going to be, right? Like, and that's the point of life, is to be a good ancestor,
Oh yeah,
right?
what world are you gonna leave for your
Yeah.
children and your children's children? Like, or are you just so concerned about consumption
Yeah.
that you don't leave any kind of legacy? Like you're trying to build a legacy, right?
Yeah, and it's like, I think we all want to do that, right? Like, but by the end of that physical existence, whenever is going to happen, I believe we all want to be feel that, like, okay, I did something right, I did something meaningful, I tried my best, I at the best of my abilities and efforts, and I was doing something that is really going to change the situation, the world, to the better,
Yeah,
right?
I think some people just like leave their insurance, they leave their will, they leave the money.
Yeah.
But you're talking about like people thinking more than just the money,
Yeah.
right? And the material things that you leave in your will that you actually have taken effort to have a philosophy that's more than that.
Exactly.
I think that's important because I think that's what people you're talking to, they're hitting that wall and saying, well, whatever was in the trust fund or in the will or in the bank account or in the crypto, maybe that's not enough. Maybe I need something else.
Exactly.
I'm really happy that we had this talk, and I hope people will go to www.thearc.world. Now, if people click on that, what do they find there?
Well, they will find an explanation about our village, and people can, like, stay, like, just like come and visit us. They can rent one of the houses in the Arc. They can come, if they just come to Santa Teresa, to Costa Rica, they can just come and visit us for events. The Arc of course, we're not a closed gated project, we're an open gated concept. So
Mhm.
we're welcoming everyone. So people can just come and, like, hang out and meet us in person, and, like, see what does it mean live this lifestyle, just like to give it a demo, just to try.
That's awesome. That's very inviting, and it doesn't give people a lot of doesn't put a gate up. Like you're very welcoming. And you've got a cool concept there. So I do encourage people to click on the links that we have. The link right now is not clickable, but in the platform that we've been on, like we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Kick right now. So if you click on that in those platforms, you'll go right to it, that URL. And then when we're on other podcast platforms by tomorrow, you'll be able to do the same thing. So I want to encourage people to click that link and find out more about the ARC. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you, Randall. Thank you, Keith. It was a great conversation.
But thank you and have a great day. And I hope we get more people to check out the ARC. And so www.thearc.world. Check that out. And I want to thank you for being a guest on the Fam Electric Ghost podcast.